Hello and welcome everyone. I am Tropin and I am free and open source software developer, author of Guix Home and RD projects. On this series we talk about development tools, practices, share part of my usual working day, and travel towards a sustainable ethical business. On previous stream we talked about tests. We implemented run module test for RD project. We implemented Emacs Lisp bindings for it, so it can be called easily from your Emacs instance. And also we made it possible to show the report at the bottom of the screen, so you don't have to check the whole report in the separate buffer, or you don't even need a separate buffer to see the test results, at least summary of it. Today we will work on two things. First one is a changelog, why we need it and what we will do about it. Also, I hope we will have enough time to keep working on our test infrastructure for RD project and related tooling for it. Okay, first of all, why we need a changelog? I don't want to do any cargo cult actions like repeating for the projects, because they have changelogs and we want the changelog as well. No, it's just a practical need that I already feel. The project is growing, we have more contributions coming, and even I myself can't track all the changes that happens around the project. Actually, I still can. I still review the commit log, but in the nearest future, I suspect that it will be hard even for me. And what about other people who want to participate in the project by using it or by developing something? They won't be able to see 3000 commits and read all of them and read each commit message inside it. And that is why we would like to have a changelog which will highlight most important changes between versions. So it's relatively easy to skim the changelog and see what new appeared, what was fixed, and what was deprecated, and so on. We don't want to dump a commit log to a changelog, of course, because commit log is too much detailed and almost nobody cares about all those details, and we already have a commit log, so everyone can just skim it through the web interface or on the local checkout. That is why we won't be using a commit log as our changelog. And I have 3 examples that I found which has some meaningful changelog, and maybe we will construct something based on those formats. And later, after we've finalized it, we will write down a decision record that we discussed maybe 10 streams ago or something like else, also in this stream series. It's probably called architectural decision records. First of all, let's open all of those 3 links. Hello, Antares. Nice to see you here. Changelog is basically a file in the root directory of the repository, which contains some text, and this text usually describes what changed between versions. And here we see that we have a header which contains exact version and the date it was released, and some information between those 2 releases. We see the subheadings like breaking changes, bug fixes, something else. Features. And that's mostly it, I guess. What build system means, I don't know, but probably something related to how the project is built. And also we see tests, which probably doesn't make too much sense, but okay, at least for me. Okay, we see the format, the overall structure of the changelog. I don't know if we need subheadings for each release, but we'll think about it a little later. What we have in actual items, it's just a list. A list which looks like a commit message. Maybe it's even a commit message. Let's see. Okay, maybe not. Oh, it seems it's almost commit messages. Okay, let's see another example. Here we have a changelog in org mode format. Previous one was markdown, and this one is org mode, but it looks almost the same, but a little simpler. We have the development heading, which contains not yet released changes. I guess that will become later a part of some version changelog. And here we have headings for each version, the release date of this version, and the list of stuff happened between those two releases. Okay, it seems that it uses a plain structure. There no hierarchy in the list of messages, which actually makes sense, especially if there are not so much changes between versions. Absolutely viable approach. And also this is a breaking API change, which is highlighted with some special marker at the beginning of the line. Okay, another approach. Looks good. And one more changelog that I found useful as well. It contains unreleased header, which also contains something that will become a part of changelog of other version. It contains a version and date for this version. And here it contains a plain list of changes. And also it contains a breaking at the beginning of the item if it is a breaking change. Looks very good. What else do we have here? It looks very viable. I guess we can start writing down the ideas we had, and later decide which one we keep, which one we won't take from those examples. The first idea is what format we will use. I think we will use org mod format, because almost all RD users are also Emacs users, so it makes sense to keep a changelog in org mod. Markdown format also works, but we already have a few files in the project. For example, readme, which also is org mod file. We have to do, which is also org mod file, but it's unmaintained, unfortunately. To-do list. I visit it from time to time, but actually quite rarely. Okay, and we even have a changelog file here, and here we have some stuff already. I tried some after generated stuff here, which probably is GNU changelog format, but I didn't like it. I guess what we can do, we can reopen the file to make it be an org mod. We of course will have headings for version. We already have one release for the project, and let's take a look at the date. It was done on December 31st. Okay, let's say actually it was easier to write it down manually, but okay. Some information here. Okay, what about items format, and do we need some substructure in each changelog for each version? It's a question. For now we have very rare releases. The first release happened almost after 2 years of the development of the project, but the next release I hope will be done much sooner than 2 years from now. And ideally it would be cool to make releases every 2 months, so we have always up-to-date live CD and all that stuff. But actually maybe 2 months is quite tough release schedule, because every release requires some work: placing tags, generating ISA, deploying this ISA to the remote server, signing it, and all that stuff. But let's see. But releases make it easier to see that your process maybe not so automated, and if you release often, it makes your releasing process much smoother. So we need to think about the release schedule, but we will think about it separately. from today's topic. Okay, what we can do, we can take a look at the commit log and find the release. Where is our release? 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. Okay, here it is. And we can take most important changes from what we have here and add them to changelog to get a feeling of how our changelog will look like. Actually, the reason why I would like to have a changelog, first of all, I would like to be able to make RD development independent from myself, so other people can easily take the responsibilities of maintaining RD. It doesn't mean that I want to leave a project. Actually, I quite like this project and probably will keep working on it for many more years. But anyway, maybe something happened, the lightning strike or the bus or aircraft going to the wrong country or something else. So it's always good to have a project prepared for such occasions, so it doesn't degrade too much and won't require some additional work from other people to make a fork or something like that. And it would be cool to be able to grasp all the important changes in one place by just reading a few lines of text. And that is why changelog looks very simple and effective solution for such task. Okay, I see already some things. Let's use some headings. I just created a nested hierarchy for now, just to get a feeling of how it looks and if it's necessary at all. Maybe we can just write them down in the plain list and nothing nothing important will happen. For example, those commits are not important for people usually, so we just skip them. Actually, new RD features looks unnecessary to me. I mean, we can just write add feature Emacs blah blah blah. Oh, actually, about the language, it's written new adds breaking add generate. It written in the same form as commit messages, like in present simple. Okay, those two options looks more appealing to me without additional hierarchy and with more user-friendly language, not just copy-paste of commit logs. For example, this one is also not very important, just package get updated, and now it defined a little different, but nothing too interesting about it. But this one, this one is interesting because modus themes is actually important part of RDE, and updating to a new major version is also important thing, so people have to be aware of it. Maybe we can actually copy some of the commit messages, because it makes sense. It makes sense. This one looks reasonable to me. I mean, let's just copy interesting commit messages and just use them instead of rewriting them. Feature Emacs time. And actually this format makes sense because we see that here we have updates to the features, new feature added, this feature updated. This is related to mail model. Also we can have information about doc Actually, let's copy just this one. What else we have here? Let's talk about tests. Infrastructure tooling. This one looks also good to me. New features are always cool to see. Some internal updates related to updates in underlying packages is not interesting if they don't expose something new or break some compatibility. Fixes sometimes they may be important, sometimes they not that important. What also important that we have move modus sim related stuff to feature Emacs modus sims. This is also important as well. And also it's a breaking change. Let's mark it with exclamation mark. And let's add some kind of documentation for the changelog. Notes. Items starting with question. Exclamation mark means breaking changes. Also, we can sort them so they appears not in chronological order, but in some kind of grouped order. So it's easier to see what happened and where. Also, you can see here we have a new feature, and after that we have another thing here where we removed this feature. Actually, I like this format that Consus uses. It makes sense. I have a question about exclamation mark at the beginning of the changelog entry. I also tried it to use a few times in the commit messages. To mark breaking changes. And maybe it's a good idea to make it clear that the particular commit message introduces some breaking change. And also here we can add something that explains the actual action behind this commit message. This four is pretty self-explanatory. Those three is more can be more detailed. I always screw up the spelling of decision word. The context and recorded. How it works. Okay. This is self-explanatory. This one configuration much more flexible. Oops, makes. I don't actually know how circadian works. And I guess we can questions. I will write questions for myself. And I will remove this section later. Do we want to use exclamation mark in commit messages? What is a better format for new features commit message? It is related to commit messages, but it also tightly related to changelog itself. Here we have a very simple list of items, which is extracted from 2 months of work we've done here. It's actually done in on the guix side, the 3-seater support. But I think it's also important to mention it here, because we inherit from the upstream Emacs next package or Emacs package. They both has 3-seater support, but 3-seat package is only available in 29th version. But anyway, it's also important to mention it. Okay, and that seems it can search in compressed files, including EL source code bundled with Emacs. Jars and so on. Actually, I don't know about jars, but we can try it out. I hope it will. Now let's open a project. Let's start iglot here. Oh, it shows the progress. It's very nice. It's actually really nice. I'm interested how it looks here. Okay, it's just funny. The timeout killed the process, so I need to start it one more time. Okay, it's connected, and let's use I tried to use go to definition to get inside some source code. Okay, and here we are inside jar file. And in this jar file, I will look for, I don't know, append. A sock in. It works only partially. I expected to work slightly differently. Right now we are inside jar file, and inside this jar file we have closure core CLG. You can see the path at the bottom of the screen. Rip grep arcs. Rip grep arcs contain search zip. And it seems it doesn't look inside jar files. Okay, now let's just don't mention it inside inside this text. Also, sometimes we can insert links to the upstream packages, like this, so people can click on it and open the upstream repository or web page. Okay, we experimented a little. We used most simplest solution. We have a plain list with almost identical to the commit messages items, but only important one. Not a dump of commit log its carefully crafted list of items, which usually takes some of commit messages as a foundation. Like this. Maybe we will mention something else in those notes. But we already have a working solution. I think that it's already quite long list, and probably it would be cool to separate it somehow. But I don't know if we want to introduce a hierarchy or not. For now, let's keep it as a just long list of items. Maybe we will split it somehow like this. Or maybe we will split breaking and not breaking changes, or maybe something else. Because, you know, two long lists of items is actually hard to read. We either need to release much more often, so this list doesn't grow too much, or we will need to split it in some manageable pieces like 7-10 items. Maybe just part 1, part 2, part 3, like this. So it's easier to navigate inside it. Or maybe split by month, something else. Split long list of changelog items into more manageable pieces. Okay, we experimented, got some feeling of how changelog can look like. We will play around with it a little more. We'll try to answer some of the questions, and we'll commit it someday later so everyone can use it, both for populating it and for reading and finding new cool stuff in RD. Hi, I see. Thank you. Okay, I think we can finish with changelog for today. We will need to spend a little more time working with it. To get all the feelings related to it. We can write it down. We can edit. Maybe it can be called like doc changelog, but we need to rethink the way we write commit messages as well. But okay, we can do it later, of course. For now, it works somehow, and we keep it as it is. And let's get back to tests. I will just highlight what we get and what we would like to work on, and probably we will work on it later, probably tomorrow. Let's see, we wrote down a changelog template, but we didn't write the decision record. Also, we didn't update the contributing section of the manual. Let's do it. Doc contributing, sharing feedback, sending patches, commit messages, changelog. Probably we will call it documentation. If the change is important for users, please update changelog, please. Or maybe without please. We won't be too polite here in the manual, because you know manual is not something personal. It can be more dry in the language. I hope you can say dry language in English. Also, manual and decision log records. Okay, I did some changes to the manual, and now next time I will be cleaning up my stuff. I will see those to-do items, uncommitted to-do items, and we'll add some more information on them. Also, probably when we finish our work on tests, we will need to write down a small guideline on how to use it. Okay, let's briefly take a look at how our test stuff works right now, and we will finish the stream, I guess. Let's see. We have a namespace with tests, which called Lisp test, and we have a lot of tests here, and the one which we are expecting to fail, but I will comment out test expect fail 1, so it actually fails. And after that I call our function, and at the bottom of the screen you can see running tests, and after that you can see number of failed tests 1, and the I don't know, orange or dark yellow box with exclamation mark inside. And if I remove this comment, re-evaluate the namespace, rerun it, you will see passed all tests. And I can comment it, but I won't be re-evaluating it. And I will go to Lisp features, serializers Lisp namespace, and we'll call the same Emacs key binding here, and you can see passed all tests. I'm right here right now, and if I uncomment it, if I re-evaluate namespace again and go back to the buffer with actual namespace, not the namespace with tests, and we'll rerun this command. Oops. you can see that number of failed tests is 1. I don't show report for now. We have this report somewhere generated in the background, but I don't present it anyhow right now. And we have a few approaches to do it. The simplest one is just to take output and place it in a separate buffer so you can, see this output. The more complicated way is to use something like magit sections and generate a report inside a separate buffer, but with handy hotkeys and clickable items and so on. It's a little more complicated, and I don't know if we will have time for that, but looks also reasonable approach. Okay, and if we go to some other namespace, for example, I don't know, CSS namespace, and we will try to run the same command, you will show that it says passed all tests. It is because we don't have any tests and nothing was launched, so the result didn't contain any failed asserts, and that is why you get it instantly. Okay, what we have to improve? Well, first of all, the report message doesn't contain too much information. Probably I would like to see a number of expected to fail, number of succeed tests, and also probably I would like to handle 0 tests case somehow differently. So everything of that should be handled. Let's write it down. Handle no tests case. I don't know if we need, sorry for jumping around from tests to changelog. I don't know if we need to write down decision record about changelog, because from one point of view, documentation is somehow separate from the source code and from the architecture of the project, but actually the whole project contains not only from the source code, and documentation is a part of it and kinda a part of its architecture, even if it's not connected with some tooling with the project itself, but it can change in the future. For example, if we make such documentation format, which can reference some source code and do some notebooks that provide interactive way to evaluate source code snippets or something like this. This is why it may be even related to architecture of the project in the future. For now, it's more like maintenance related stuff, but it's still an important decision for the project, so we can make a decision record for it. Okay, I will keep it for the next stream, and we'll get back to it tomorrow. So let's do a conclusion for today's stream. First of all, the example we really saw in the stream that sometimes you can spend hours, days, weeks, or months when you need to come up with some solution and try to find the perfect solution. And in many cases, it doesn't even make sense to find a perfect solution for some task. In most cases, you can just go with some solution and see if it works or not and adjust accordingly. And this is the idea I would like to share with you. If you spend too much time on trying to find out a solution, go with first solution you have in mind. And after that, if you understand the solution was wrong, you already have experience and you already understand what you need and what you don't need, and you can reiterate. Of course, some decisions affects the cost in the future, but in many cases it still makes sense to do something instead of spending hours, days, weeks, and years trying to figure out a perfect solution. The practical experience is also very important for the learning, for the exploring, and even for understanding of how to make a good solution. And even if your first attempt will fail, you will succeed with the second or third attempt, or maybe someday later. And that's it for today. Thank you everyone for joining, and I will see you in a bit.